Welcome in. We're going to dig in here and we're going to get into the systems and trading in crypto, right? So first things first is where you guys want to kind of like get yourself set up and watching is we have to find levels and volumes, right? So normally your daily is going to be the first time frame that you look at, right? And the reason why you're looking at your daily is because you need to know on the day which direction the money is, right? Because we're looking for signs of money, whether it's negative or positive, right? So this is an indicator that we use down here. This right here is called the VC Crypto Nation. You can see it's a moon indicator. VC made making trading easy moon tracker, and all it's really going to do is track the money and the volume. So you can see these orange lines here. Now the orange line is the capital, and the blue line is basically the reversal of capital. It's the bottom half of it, right? So as we see here on the daily, there is no uptake for this current coin right now, which is Bitcoin, right? Meaning that on the overall, we don't have a good trade to the upside right now. So we would be looking where the most volume is being pulled down. Second, let's rotate over here. Now we're going to look at the 4 hour, because if you're doing a day trade or you're looking at your daily market, you want to see what's coming over the next 3 candles. So everything is going to be in threes, right? A move up, 1, a move back, 2, a move up, 3, right? So gamma fans, right? Or Elliott waves, Elliott wave 1, 2, and 3, right? Same thing, candles 1, 2, and 3. So everything that we want to do is in sets of threes, right? So 3 4-hour candles is the next 12 hours of our day. So as we start to look here, we can see that this is where we're sitting here. And so far right now, we are sitting at the bottom of our relative strength index, which is the RSI. And you can see that RSI just simply means sentiment, right? And what the sentiment is basically you hear people talk about crypto, people talk about stocks or whatever, and they'll simply go over the sentiment of something. So right now, the sellers and the buyers are basically at the bottom of the sentiment. So no one's buying, and that's why the red line is at the bottom, and more people are selling. That's why the blue line is at the bottom, right? So the pressure right now is still on the sell on the 4 hour. So this means overall we have a daily going down, we have a 4 hour going down. So think of it as like momentum, like a snowball. The two bigger time frames, which weigh more than the other time frames, are currently holding the pull down. It's it's like having carrying a baby on your back while your middle brother is on top of you as well. That it's hard to walk here. So this market is going to have a hard time trying to find some recovery right here because the money hasn't showed up in those two areas. So now what we need, now that we know that we're in this downward move, we know that this starts normally at the top of a high level, right? So that normally starts up here. So these are the lines of the RSI. It goes up to what we call a 100 line, right? And if you look to the right hand side, you can see there's a little thing that says 100, right? That is the end of the top of the line, right? So that's what we call exhausted. And then you have the 0 line, which is down here, and that's normally basically the floor, okay? Now the reason why we have the moon indicator is because the RSI can hit the floor and you have no idea of when it's actually going to start going up. So we have what's called a moon indicator, which is where we look at this orange line here. You see that orange line? That line is the actual indicator. When it turns up, will be letting us know that money is actually coming into the project. So right now is no money coming in on the 4 hour. So currently we're going to keep seeing the downside to this. So let's move to another 3 hour or 3-piece section. So let's see what's going to happen the next 6 hours. So right now for me, let me see what my time is. It's 2 o'clock here for me. We're on the West Coast. So the next 3 hours will go to 5 o'clock. So what we want to take a look at is, the period in there. So let's go to a 6 hour period, 2 to 8 o'clock, right? So the next 6 hours. So we want to go to a 2 hour period here. and take a peek at where we're looking as far as like the next 6 hours, because I want to start trading something in here in the next 6 hours to take advantage of what's happening. So once again, the very first thing that I'm looking at here is the money, right? You see that, the orange line down there? Our moon indicator is still saying that there's no money here, right? So this is obviously going to keep that down. So right now, for the next 6 hours, the pressure is no money. So, you know, shorts are heavily on your mind here. The other thing that you want to do is when you're doing shorts is that shorts start when things get exhausted. So you can see here, it hit the top, right? Then there was 2 moves, right? And I'll show you, this is what I'm talking about, 3 moves that happened, right? So the very first thing is that you see here, your 2 hour got to the top, it made its move down, right? And then it bounced, right? So move 1 is here, move 2 is here, and then it had its 3rd move, right? Which happened right here. Now that 3rd move is where you take advantage of the positioning of your trade, right? So let's zoom in on this. So this is a 2 hour. You can see here that you're going to allow the trade to have its pullback, which is where it starts to break down to this level. Then it bounces, that's number 2, right? And then after that bounce, you're looking for the entry on that next move down, right? If you're doing 2 hours, depending on your strategy, right? So keep in mind, guys, you're going to always have to build a strategy and a system that you're going to do. If you don't have a strategy in trading, we have strategies that you can get into. Like I said, there's a bunch of people in here that are, you know, set up to do strategies. They run a very simple system. We have a thing called Making Trading Easy. We do the same trades over and over and over. We follow the same system over and over and over. And as you can see, it works well. We don't overcomplicate it. We keep it very simple. And it's a really easy position here. Dude, 663%. I don't even know what to say about that, Carlos. But at the end of the day, this is where we're just simply following the same system and strategy, right? So if you don't have a system and a strategy, this is where you need to start getting a piece of paper and a pen, right? So I see that there's 70 eyeballs on here. What you need to do, guys, is come into the live so that we can see you as people and leave some comments and share the live, right? The more people that are sharing the live, the more motivated I am to stay on, you know, because sometimes I'll just be like, you know, I need a cup of coffee and I'll get off, right? So I'm good on my money. If you want to get good on your money, this is where you learn, right? People that are making money in this industry, I'm trying to show you guys. Every other influencer that you've ever listened to did nothing but tell you to buy, 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 buy. And all I ever told you was you need to learn how to short because the markets won't hold, okay? The only person that's right in this crypto world over the last 5 years is me. So this is a strategy and a system that you can use here to take advantage of what you see. If you don't know how to short, then we need to show you, man. Pull up the 30% club. 20 Pippin trades in a row. Let me see the 30% crow. So we have a thing called 30% club, guys. Holy moly. And what that's based on is teaching people how to take profits. And as you can see, it's been...
I can't see that on the screen. I still only see the trade.
I see the 30%.
On TikTok?
No, on this one.
Yeah, I'm saying I don't see it on TikTok.
Should be there. Should be top and bottom. Yeah, you'll see above my head. So right here, oh my God, Pippin 48%, Pippin 37%, Pimpin. I didn't even see Pippin, man. But he is crushing Pippin. Jesus.
Oh, really?
Lucas made a killing on Pippin. Shit. Man, where were we at today? 350, 450. That's 1,000, 300, 350, 2,000. What is it? You talk.
It's just showing behind your head, bro. It's not showing your Discord.
Oh, yeah, right here on the sides. You want to make it bigger?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, now it is.
Yeah, yeah. So I can make this bigger. So I can pull this down here. So this is where we're. Let me pull this up here. I'll rotate this a little bit smaller. I'll pull this up here. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
I could probably put myself a little bit lower. I don't know. So that one on top is a little bit.
You're fine right, yeah, that's fine.
Make that a little bit bigger.
I don't want to go any higher, it's so weird.
Well, because that top screen has a border on it, so that's what that is. Yeah, so Pippin right there, man. Crazy killing on Pippin. Crazy. So what we're trying to show, and here's our current short that we have, guys, already set up. You can see that we got our buys in. We're dipping right here. Not doing too bad. Very simple. What we're going for is a 30% return. Currently, we're sitting at 28%. So that's the goal here, is to have a strategy that constantly just gives you the number that you're looking for. And this is how you get there, right? So let's just say that here's your two moves, right? Here's your first move down, and here's your second move. There's a bounce, right? There's always going to be some type of, bounce to it. And the reason why is I don't think everyone's trying to figure out, like, why does it bounce or why does it do this? It's very simple. It's what you guys do to trade. You have support and resistance lines, right? You guys have levels of Fibonacci's that you put buy orders and people put sell orders. That's why it bounces. Is because when it hits a level where a lot of people put a buy order in, it's going to bounce. When it hits a level where people put a lot of sell orders, it's going to bounce. It bounces because you guys are placing limit orders around the board. That's why it does it, right? So there's always going to be a push up. There's always going to be a pullback. People are going to buy the pullback. It's going to bounce again, okay? Same thing. You're going to short the third move because that's the move that has already, it's step two. Like the main order started to sell. The second bounce is people buying in a position. And when it starts to move down from there, it's just letting you know that the sentiment is that selling is better than buying because people have reached their profit level, right? Because there's no reason to hold crypto or hodl. So all the influencers that sit there and go, hodl, 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 they've got nothing. They sit around in their house. Today, okay, here's what happened. Today is an example where all those influencers that you follow have been sitting around going, look, guys, I'm at $700,000. And guess what? Today they're at 250. You know why? Because they hodl. They lost all their profits. They're all sitting there. They gave up $250,000. Some of them lost $500,000. Some of them lost $1 million. I've known guys they've lost $4, $5, $6 million in a day who sit there and try to tell me to hodl. I'm sorry, man. I like the millions in the bank, not on a chart that goes up and down. You do not make money hodling. So let's focus in on making money on profits, right? You understand? Profits are money, okay? Holding and hodling is nothing. I got a buddy right now. I know he's... Joe, if you're out there, brother, I love you, man, but I told you to sell XRP at $3. Yeah. But, so let's say, how do you make money, right? You have to have a strategy. You have to have a system, right? So this is very simple. It's a 1, 2, 3. There's a pullback. There's a bounce where people are buying. And then when that turns into the next downward move, that creates our avenue of an entry, right? And I'm just going to take this little mark here. I'm going to mark it up here. And I'm going to turn it yellow because that's going to be our first 2 hour, right? I'm going to mark it. I'm going to write on here so we know what it is. This is the 2 hour third move, okay? And we'll come back to that. I'm going to turn that yellow because I want to show you guys a strategy of what we're doing, right? Don't worry about the trades and everything out there right now. There's going to be plenty of trades happening all day, right? The market's not going anywhere but up and down as people try to figure out where the bottom is because all you guys are clueless, right? It's just reality. Okay, so that's the first one right there. So that's our 2 hour move, all right? So now we take a peek here and we slide in and we put that arrow here. And this is our 2 hour move arrow, right? This is the 2 hour third move arrow, right? That is where we would take a short on that position right there. That candle right there, right? Now, that candle, you can see, look at that beautiful short. If you were playing this very simple system, this is the short that you would be doing, right? So we have trades that are called 2 4-hour trades, right? We use the 2 hour as the entry points and the 4 hours as the confirmation. So I can go ahead and put an hour here. And I can tell you right here, this move right here that's happening, more than likely, and I'm going to turn this one orange, I'm going to be looking for this to be our 4 hour, right? So this is going to be our 4 hour third move, okay? So I'm just going to already put that in there because I'm thinking like this is how we set it up, and this is a basic simple thing, right? So here's our 2 hour short that happened. Here's our 4 hour. So we're already in a massive short. There's not too much more that you can get out of this short before it bounces. You guys can see here, because at the end of it, what you see here on this 2 hour chart is that you see these lines here, right? And what these lines are, these lines right here that are coming down are simply channels, okay? Parallel channels, right? Which you ever see somebody says, listen, let me show you how to chart. They're running from the top right here all the way down, right? And they're saying, okay, here's my, let me shut that off real quick. Here's the top right here, and I'm going to top the top of that. And a lot of times the people will actually touch the candles right here, which is incorrect. You need to go from that top piece and kind of like veer straight down on a 45. And then you have your bottom piece here, right? And if you look here, you can see that from your 2 earlier waves, right, from those candles to the current move, you can see it's creating this lower channel, right? So these are the channels that it's creating, and these are the channels that it had previously broken, right? So all these channels, as they come along, right, you can draw them out, put them wherever you want them. Once they start breaking these channels, they start creating new channels, right? So this current new channel is way down here, which is completely off the grid here, right? I mean, it's massive, right? So now what you're looking for is a bounce here, right? There's got to be some type of bounce. Remember we talked about there's always a bounce, and the reason why there's always a bounce is simply because everyone who's looking at these shorts is sitting around going, okay, it has to find support somewhere, right? So we're going to take a look at the 4 hour real quick. And we can see there's levels here, right? So here's a level going back. We can see that there's levels here. And we have a level that happened on July 4th, 2024. It's that level right there. And that level happens to be 53,000. We find another level, which is that's the bottom, so that's support. You need resistance. So if you go to the top here, you can see that there's a bunch of resistance at this next level, and that's going to give you 63,879. So if we take these support and resistance, 63,879, 53,000, right? We come across and we start working across. Lo and behold, look at that. That's where the bounce happens. We're going through that bounce right now. The bounce that we're actually going through right now is a support zone that you guys are probably learning from a charter like whatever his name is. I forgot his name, but he's charting and he's going to tell you that, okay, we're going to find support here at 63,800 because that's where Bitcoin bounced July 4th, 2024. And if it breaks from there, it's going to come down to the next level down here, 54,000. So these are the things that are happening that are using the crypto, scenario, right? When you're a charter, you are just charting what we call, there's no certainty in charting. There's just levels of where people put something. And you have no idea how many people are putting their buy levels there or not, right? And that determines how much it's going to bounce, right? So here you can see a lot of people believed in this support zone that was going to be something important, and they put a ton of buy orders there, right? And then after that bounce happens, you're going to see that it's going to let that order kind of like flow through because there's not enough movement to it, right? So I'm going to put this here. I'm going to let that ride there. Okay. So now you understand that there's going to be bounces. There's going to be these things that happen because support and resistance of what people previously understood. The reason why I'm telling you this is because in order to understand why things go up and down, you have to know why things go up and down, right? So that you understand that you have to sell, take profits, find a strategy, find a system that makes money inside of these areas, right? So that way you can take profits and be profitable and know that at certain levels it's going to do certain things. Okay. So right now on the overall 4-hour market, we know that we have a support at 63,830. We have a support at 54,800. Those are two levels of support and resistance that bigger people who are trading are going to watch. If it breaks through these levels, they're going to be looking for those other levels to hit, right? Now, this is all speculation, okay? This just lets you know of the possibilities of where things could go, right? It doesn't mean they're going there. It just means that, this is where it's going to go. And that is what we call sentiment. That is where what the market believes is going to happen because there are lines that have been drawn and they believe that support and resistance is how the market works, right? Now, the question is, when it hits these levels, is there going to be money there to be in that situation? Or is the money not going to be there, right? Because that's the only thing that matters. What matters is how much money comes in at those levels to either make a reversal or continue the fall, right? And what we can see so far when we go to our indicators, you can see here on the moon indicator, we don't have any sign that this is actually going to change. So this is still on a downside. So let's go over here and take a look at the RSIs. And I want to finish this trade here. So what we did here was part of a strategy is that when the 2-hour reaches a top, right? The strategy is a 2-hour RSI reaches the top. It makes a move down and then it bounces and makes a third move down. That creates the opportunity for the short, okay? That would be this candle here, right? I'm going to turn that red. And this candle would be the third move short, right? That's where we would be looking for the first short. Now, the second thing is this, right? We look at the 4-hour. Now, notice earlier I put the 4-hour orange candle here, and I said to you, I said, listen, I'm putting a 4-hour here because more than likely, right, let's go back to the 2-hour. I'm going to show you. So more than likely that when I seen the 2-hour short happen, right, you see the move? So here's the 2-hour short. There's move number 1, right? Let me make this white. So this is the move 1 of the 2-hour short. Okay. I'm going to copy, paste. Okay. Now, once that move 1 happens, what happens, right? So what happens after move 1? It bounces, right? We get move 2. So we're looking for move 2. Here's move 2. See right there? There's move 2. Right. Now, this is all happening on the 2-hour time frame. So what we're looking for is this to move into the 4-hour, right? Time frame, right? Because just like we start our short on the 2-hour, the 4-hour is the next move that we're getting, which is the time frame. So right here, as it starts to move down, that is the third move for the 2-hour short. Okay, and what I want to show you here is earlier I put this orange line here, and I wrote on it, I said the 4-hour third move, right? I didn't even look at the chart yet. I just know that after the 2-hour strategy, listen to what I'm saying. After our 2-hour strategy move makes its first move down, I know that it's going to bounce, and after it bounces, it's going to have its third move down. I put the 4-hour third move here, right? Third move, because more than likely, that's when the 4-hour time frame is going to show you that there's going to be a move, right? That makes sense, guys? Are you paying attention? I see 76 people watching, but you guys aren't actually inside here where you can chat. So hit ones in the chat if that makes sense. Because watch, let me show you here. When I go to the 4-hour time frame, you're going to see that that is exactly what happened. So when I go to the 4-hour time frame, right? What do we have? We have the 4-hour reaching the top. It makes its first move down. It bounces. And then it makes its third move right there, you see? The third move down. Right there. So you can see that right here, that right there is the third move down candle. When the 4-hour RSI, and let me pull up just the RSI, right? Here's the 4-hour at the top. It starts to come down right there, see? There's its downward move. It bounces. After it bounces, it starts to come down right there. This creates the 4-hour third move. Okay? The reason why this is important is because as you start to go through these moves, you will realize that the bigger the time frame, the bigger the move. Okay? It is that simple. The bigger the time frame, the bigger the move. Okay? And that's it. That is what, as you start to move into these trades, you use the 2-hour time frame to get you to the start of the big move. It lets you see the first 3 moves. The pullback, the bounce. The bounce is where you start to see where you should be entering or getting ready for your short position. And then you take that position on that next move. Now, once that move happens, you know that you're going to get a 4-hour move, right? Meaning that it's going to produce a bounce that goes into a 4-hour move, right? So when you see that happening, right, let me show you on the 2-hour. This is to let you know that you should be taking profits on the first big 2-hour move because it is going to bounce back. It is going to come back up. You don't want to give away those profits. You want to take those profits and know that once it bounces, it's going to be bouncing into the 4-hour third move. which is your second short entry, but this is your biggest short entry. So this is the one that you get into and ride a little bit longer, because this is normally the strongest move down. So this is why you have to learn that when you know these things are going to happen, you know there's going to be profits that you have to take, and you know there's going to be another position that you can enter, right? That's where you're seeing the movements here, right? And we can see here on Bitcoin, we're getting a three-piece move here. We're getting a push up. Here's a pullback, right? So this is looking like Bitcoin wants to recover a little bit here. All right, so Bitcoin is finding a level here of value. Now, we haven't really got too far into there. We're just kind of like letting that ride, so we're seeing what's happening. Nothing big, just very small orders. So once you have this move down, this system, this strategy of letting the 2 hour pull back, right? Third move, up, down, up, short, right? Then after that third move short, then you get the 4 hour move. The 4 hour basically is down, bounce, third move, right? So the 2 hours third move is the 4 hours first move. Then you sell that because the 4 hours first move has to bounce into a second move. Once it bounces into a second move, then it creates the next short, which is the third move down, right? And this system and this strategy is the same over and over and over. Now, when you implement the moon indicator into this, right? The money indicator, this is where once you see these moves happening, right? So I'm going to just basically, this is the 2 hour move. I'm going to draw that down. We know that this is the 2 hour move. I'm just going to put that there. I'm going to turn it yellow so that we know. And then the 4 hour move happens here. And I'm going to turn this orange just so we know. I'm going to show you what the money does, right? So now all we have to do is go to an earlier time frame, a 45-minute time frame, okay? And you see that, let me show you very clearly, right? So I'm going to click, okay. So on the moon indicator, right, you see right here this yellow, right? This yellow is the 2 hour third move. Meaning that that's the trade that we're looking for. Now over here, this orange one, this is the 4 hour third move. Very simple. So now that we're in this trade here, we can see that once that 2 hour third move starts to happen, you can go to the 45-minute, right? And all you're going to do on the 45-minute, or, actually with that move is happening, you should be moving into like time frames of like 30 minutes or so. 15 minutes is where a lot of times we do our entries, right? So these are the areas that we do our entries on, okay? 15-minute is a solid section that you can use. I wouldn't go any lower than 15 minutes. And what I mean by that is this. So you see here that you have a 2 hour move that happens there. If you went and looked at this section here, you would notice that currently the money is headed up, you see? Which means that once the money starts to come back down, which is in this section here, that is where you would basically look for your entry. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a arrow, and when this money starts to head down, I'm going to put it right here. And I'm going to turn this arrow here blue. And it's going to be very simple. I'm going to write on here. This is going to be the 15-minute moon line entry. Okay. Copy. Copy. Paste. Control Z. All right, copy, paste. All right, we're going to copy that real quick. Actually, I want to clone this real quick. I'm going to clone that real quick. I'm going to slide this because I'm going to use this on the other one as well. But that right there shows you that that's when the 15 minutes starts to go down. Now, the reason why I don't have it at the peak right here when it actually starts to go down is because you're not going to see you're not going to be seeing the move down until the next candle, which happens here. That's where it would print. Okay. Now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do the same thing for the 4 hour, right? And you can see here on the 4 hour, you have a 4 hour third move, right? You can see here the 4 hour third move happens. If you're watching the money line, right? The money line goes up. And right here is where it starts to go down. So you will see this candle as your third down. This is your entry. I'm going to roll these to the top. Make these a little bit thicker so we see them. And this is how you enter this trade. So now I'm going to go over here. Take these 15-minute entries and simply drag them straight up to here on the 15-minute time frame. Let me move this over here so they're straight. There we go. I'm going to move this over here so they're straight. There we go. Okay, so now when I open this up, these are the 15-minute entries, right? So let me go ahead and put the time in there. 15-minute moon line entry. That's simple. Bloop, bloop, bloop. All right. So what that means is when you say, I don't know when to enter, here you go. This is how you enter. When the money line on the 15 minutes starts to head down, well, that is when you enter your trade, right? That's the candle that you enter on. Very simple. Very easy to follow system. That makes sense, chat? So 82 you guys watching, does that make sense to you? Mm-hmm. Do you think you could follow a very simple 2-hour move, the third move down, go to the 15-minute time frame, let the moon indicator start to head down, and simply enter the trade? This is a system and a strategy that everyone can follow. It's not that hard. You see what I'm saying, Oscar? Kev, you see what I'm saying? J-Mo, what's up, brother? You see what I'm saying? Hit ones in the chat. You hear what I'm saying? Share the live. Do you see how easy it is to make this trade? This is a short trade that you can do over and over and over. All you need is just the basics of what we're doing and the indicator, right? If you want the indicator, it's free. Information is right here on my TikTok. There's right there. There's in all. Just go right there, and you will see where you can get set up. Set up your trading account, which we have here. Once you create your trading account, right? You then move into your position of getting over to the place that all the free people are sitting in. It's all free to get in there, right? And you just simply get with the people that are in there, and that's pretty much it. I mean, it's a very simple thing. It looks like we have Bitcoin here starting to find its bottom here. We're looking at a little bit of volume. So we're going to go look here. I'm going to open that up real quick, slide over to Biddy. But that's the short trade that we can do over and over. Okay? Right now, this is a system and a strategy that you can follow. This is not hard to do. Now, this same system and strategy works. That's your shorting system, right? So I'm going to close this out here. This is how you short. It's a very simple system. I'm going to close this video out. That's how you do the two